Hey folks, my name is Jen, and today, or tonight rather, I just want to quickly talk to you about my TBR for the winter. So now it is the beginning of December. It is just in time for me to discuss everything that I hope to read over the next couple of months, December, January, and February. First of all, over the next couple of months, I do have a couple of audiobooks that I have been listening to that I am really hoping to get through. So first up, I'm thinking probably for December because it sounds like a very cozy thing. I have an audiobook of The Wind in the Willows that I would really like to finish listening to. I don't really know a ton about The Wind in the Willows other than it's like involves animals basically. I think there was like either a show or a movie that was on when I was really little that I apparently liked to watch with my grandmother, but I could not tell you anything about it really because it's so long ago I honestly don't remember. Yeah, the book involves animals. It's supposed to be really cozy. So, yep, I have that audiobook that I am going to be listening to most likely in December itself. And then I have two other audiobooks that I am currently partway through, but I don't think I have enough because I've been listening to them through Spotify. I only have so many minutes a month that I can listen to audiobooks. So I don't think that I'm going to finish any of them this month in December, but I do know that I will be able to finish them over the winter. And the first of them is A Soul to Keep. I believe it's by Opal Rain, and that is a dark romance, I think is technically what it is. It's part of the Duskwalker series. It's book 1 in that. I honestly don't know if I will continue with this series or not. It has been entertaining, but I don't know if it's a series I want to continue or not, but I am only partway through it, like 40% or something like that, so I don't know, we'll see. Basically, this one is following a young woman who she has basically been ostracized for the majority of her life as some kind of harbinger of doom, because her parents were killed by demons. And again, this is like another book that I talked about recently. Demons in this world are referring to like monsters, like evil, creepy creatures that kill people, like that kind of thing. Not like biblical demons or anything like that. Her family was killed by them, and she was the only one who survived. And the town did take her in, but basically ostracized her at the same time. And as such, when she is, I think she's like 21, 22, something like that, she is gifted to the Duskwalker, this creature from beyond the veil, as his bride, basically. Every so often one of the villages nearby has to give a bride. And she is given to him, and he is like this horrifying kind of scary creature guy, but the thing is that he wants to have her not to like eat necessarily. He's been looking for a companion. He's been looking for someone to love. So he's been looking for someone to love. So it's like very sad. He's very lonely and stuff like that, but it's also like he, in between kind of wanting a companion and wanting to bone the hell out of her, he also wants to kind of eat her. Like actually eat her like a monster would. So I don't know. It's definitely, I think, up there as one of the most bizarre book series that I've been listening to, but yeah. I don't know how I feel about it so far, but I'm still finishing that audiobook. And then the other audiobook that I just started is Heated Rivalry. It's actually, I think, book 2 in a hockey romance series. I'm sorry, I forget who the author is. I think her last name's Reed. Is it Rachel Reed? I think I got it right. I don't know. So I just heard about that on a podcast. And I've never been big into like sports romances, or never really thought about sports romances. I mean, I enjoy hockey. I don't know a lot of the rules and stuff like that, but I really like watching it. And I had heard about this on the podcast, and then I guess they're just coming out with a series, like an actual series with it. So I saw clips from the show and it looked really good, and I was like, you know what, I think I am gonna listen to that audiobook. It's basically these two rivals. There is Ilya from the basically the Bruins. It's like a knockoff of the Bruins, the Boston team, and then Shane, who is from the Montreal team. I actually don't know what the Montreal team is. I am so sorry. I know the Maple Leafs are one, but that's to like Toronto, right? I can't remember what the Montreal team is called. But in this world, it's Voyageurs, Montreal Voyageurs, and the Boston Bears. They're like rivals, and they've been rivals for years, these two players, and they're like hit players on their leagues, and they have this rivalry on the ice, and the press just kind of keep building this up, but secretly they have been boning the fuck out of each other for years because they just can't get enough of each other. And I guess somewhere along the way they're gonna have to admit to themselves and each other that they actually have feelings for the other one. So yeah, I've heard that it's very spicy, very good. So yeah, I've just started listening to that too, so that is another audiobook that I will be listening to this winter. As far as other books go, I do have a couple of books that I am looking to finish up basically this winter, most definitely this month because I am currently reading it, but I am looking to finish reading Blue Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon. This is following a girl named Aspeth, and she actually is from a noble family, but things are not going so well. They've lost a lot of magical artifacts, and she needs to get some more to save her family's standing and lives, basically. So the best way to do that is to join the Artificers Guild. But unfortunately, women aren't allowed without permission of some male. So she ends up looking for the help of one of the members of the guild, Minotaur, and oh crap, what is his name again? Hawk. Minotaur named Hawk, and makes a proposition basically, hey, you know, I also am in need of someone, because Minotaurs every so often have this, like, the full moon, which they have to deal with, where they get, like, crazy horny, basically, and mildly go insane. So he needs a partner to keep him under control so he doesn't just go off insane, boning whatever. So he proposes that he marries her, and this way he can both help her, give her the training, get her into the guild, and she will also be there for him when he has his extra special horny Minotaur time. So it's like a fake relationship turning into a real relationship, which if you've been here a while, you know is one of my favorite tropes. So I'm looking to finish this month, and yeah, I'm pretty sure I will be finishing it. And then I also have, now this is a blast from the past, I haven't talked about this in like months, but Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. This was one that had started out as a buddy read, and then I just did not finish reading it. I got really close to the end, and just cannot bring myself to finish reading this book. And it's a chunky boy. Like, I made it. How do I explain this book? This is a story following Nicholas Nickleby, a boy who has been, well, he's a grown adult, but he has been put in a lot of difficult situations due to circumstances and shitty-ass uncle that has put him and his mother and sister into just terrible life conditions, and he is doing everything in his power to right the situations that he has been through. And it's like, I don't know, it got pieces of the other Dickens novels that I've read. You know, it's got some of the commentary of Bleak House and Christmas Carol, plus the humor. And I haven't read Oliver Twist, but it feels, in some ways, it feels like, I mean, I've seen adaptations of it, and it feels like it has some of that in there too. But it's, yeah, this is, oh man, oh boy, I'll have probably a whole big chunk to say about this when I'm done with it, but I need to actually finish it. So speaking of the classics I would like to get through this winter, first up I have one that is going to be rolling over from my TBR this year. Actually, I have a lot of the books for my band book challenge that I definitely fucked up on. That those books, a lot of those books will be rolling over, because I don't know. I have a lot of books. I actually have quite a few of the books from the band book challenge that I definitely fucked up on because I did not manage to get through them this year. But they're rolling over into 2026, of course, and one of these that I think I'm going to try to get through this winter is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Classic tale of a woman who is forced to wear the letter A for adultery because she had a child born out of love, but Puritans don't fucking understand shit like that. So, we'll have that. And then I think I'd also like to get through The Prince and the Pauper by Mark Twain. The Prince and the Pauper, you probably know this tale even if you haven't actually read it. I've seen multiple adaptations of it, or beyond even normal adaptations, into people just borrowing that general idea and running with it. Like, I don't know, The Princess Switch, I guess, would be one of the more random ones. Or It Takes Two also, with the Olsen twins. I think that's also kind of a play on that as well, in a manner of speaking. It's basically the story of a prince who wants to get out of his stifling life in the castle, and a poor boy who just wants to survive, and they end up switching places because they look so similar to each other. And yeah, that's the basis of what I've known, because like I said, I've seen adaptations. I've never read this before, so I honestly don't really know what to expect. I have not read a ton of Mark Twain. I've basically read, I think, one short story, and then of course Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. So as far as a tale like this goes, I have no idea what to expect. But I do know that he had a very good sense of humor, so I am assuming that this is going to be kind of amusing. And then I would also really like to read The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. Again, I don't know much about this either than other than it is a spooky tale. This says, young Walter Hartwright first meets the mysterious woman in white in what soon became one of the most popular novels in the 19th century. Secrets, mistaken identities, surprise revelations, amnesia, locked rooms, and locked asylums, and an unorthodox villain made this mystery thriller an instant success when it first appeared in 1860. And it also talks about The Moonstone, which was a book that I read, last year, right? Or was it earlier this year? My God, when was that? Time is weird, you guys. Yeah, I've read that and I really liked it, so expecting to be very much intrigued by this one. And then I also actually, another classic sort of, a play, I'd really like to read Macbeth. This, of course, is a tale of murder and curses and spells and plotting, lots of plotting, political machinations, or the Scottish play if you are part of the theater. Never read it, never seen it, know the classic bits and bobs from it, but yeah, I would like to also read this this winter as well, even though I meant to read it this fall, but then forgot about that. But I'm thinking that the winter months, it's cold and dark, is also the perfect atmosphere to read Macbeth. And then I'm gonna try to find somehow a version to watch because it is meant to be seen. Let's see, I've got a couple of nonfiction books also that I want to get through over the course of the winter. The first is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and this is told in, I don't think it's one letter, I think it's a series of letters that the author was writing to his son and trying to explain to him what his life will be like and how to make it through the world, and also specifically this country in this current climate as a young black man. Basically how to get through it, what you're gonna deal with, and all of the bullshit, basically. I have been meaning to read this for a while. I meant to try to time my reading of this with other similar books, but I'm hoping also that just reading this will be like, give me that gumption to be like, okay, now you need to pick up those other books that you wanted to read around the same time. I don't think this is one that I'm going to get through in December, but I'm thinking this might be a good way to start the new year. We'll be reading this book. Then I would also like to get into The Gift of Fear, Survival Signals That Protect Us from Violence by Gavin de Becker. This is a nonfiction book that Gavin de Becker wrote about fear, you know, and how to better understand your own fear responses and listen more to that part of yourself. Gavin de Becker has worked to make threat assessments for a lot of people, including like Supreme Court justices and stuff. He knows what he's talking about. He's studied this and done, that's like his whole job, was analyzing threat assessments and stuff like that, and he basically uses those ideas and tries to break it down for like anybody to basically understand their own fear responses and take a look at why you're having those. If somebody's giving you the heebie-jeebies, there's a reason for that. It's basically breaking it down and recognizing your own response. And it's not, and trying to shut down that voice that always says that you're being too harsh or you shouldn't listen to your immediate gut instinct. It's taking a look at that gut instinct and being like, there's a reason why I feel this way, and this is some kind of evolutionary response, and I need to understand why I'm having that evolutionary response, because something in you has recognized some type of pattern or some kind of red flag that only your subconscious is really getting and your brain hasn't picked up on it completely. And it's like, yeah, basically looking at that and understanding how to better keep yourself safe, I guess. And another nonfiction that I want to pick up, although this will honestly probably take me the whole winter to read, I imagine, and maybe longer than that. It is The Federalist Papers by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay. These were all of the letters in that one song from Hamilton they were referencing when they said that Hamilton wrote the other 51. That's these bad bitches. He was writing the Federalist Papers, defending the Constitution, the creation of it, and everything within. So when I was looking at this, I was like, can I really read this? Because I have read some of Hamilton's stuff before, and it's like, man, the guy had brains, and it took a lot to decipher. But I did, before I bought this, I was flipping through a little bit of it, and I realized, you know what, this is actually a lot more readable than I thought. I just have to have my thinking brain on. So my thinking brain is, what I mean is that I need to have been reading classics, not like classic, but like older classics, by the time that I am reading this. So I will probably try to read this around the time that I am finishing up Nicholas Nickleby or The Scarlet Letter or something. So my brain is in that right space to understand the cadence and the language, old-timey language and stuff like that. Because otherwise my brain is just gonna be like, what is happening? And let's see, what else have I got? Oh, I've got very wintry feeling reads. So first up, you know it, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I read this every December. I usually read it twice because I listen to an audiobook while I'm working on stuff, and I read this puppy right very close to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, stuff like that. I love this book. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I think this is one of those books that every single person should read, and I adore it. So yeah, Christmas Carol again. Then I would also like to, these two honestly you have seen before, because actually all three of these you have seen before, because I didn't get through them last winter, but in my hubris I'm thinking I can get through them. The first is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. It's time to stop dragging my feet on this. I think that's what 2026 is going to be, is the time of I need to stop dragging my feet on a lot of these books that I say I'm going to read. This is about a girl named, I think it's Vassia. Vassia knows the old ways. She still kind of practices the old ways and has a little bit of her own bits of magic and stuff like that. And it is important to continue to follow the old ways because it keeps her family safe from the evils in the forest. But her father marries a woman who is extremely like religious, like read it, zealot, and refuses to do any of those things, thereby putting everyone in danger, and Vassia ends up being forced to do something kind of crazy to protect her loved ones. I know that this is based off of Russian fairy tales. I've not read that many of those. But yeah, I do really want to read this, and again, perfect time to read it in the winter. I really need to just get through it. Another one is Snow by Orhan Pamuk, and this is, let me see how to describe this. An exiled poet named Ka returns to Turkey and travels to the forlorn city of Kars. His purpose is to report on a wave of suicides among religious girls forbidden to wear their headscarves. But Ka is also drawn by his memories of the radiant Ipek, now recently divorced. Amid blanketing snowfall and universal suspicion, Ka finds himself pursued by figures ranging from Ipek's ex-husband to a charismatic terrorist. A lost gift returns to the static suddenness, a theatrical evening climaxes in a massacre, and finding God may be the prelude to losing everything else. I have no idea what to expect from this book. I've heard good things about this book, but I honestly, yeah, I have no idea at all what to expect. It sounds like, it says it's slyly comic and touching, and it's suspenseful. So I'm expecting basically a thriller with a little bit of humor, and it sounds like maybe some social commentary involved, which, I mean, sounds pretty good to me. I have never read anything from this author. I have not read anything about Turkey at all, I don't think. Color me intrigued. And also won the Nobel Prize in Literature, so that's pretty good. The other wintry book that I want to get to is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I started reading this last winter and I got, what did I get? 38 pages in? I don't remember any of this, so I imagine I'm gonna have to read it again, those 38 pages. But anyway, this is following Victoria. Victoria McQueen. She has an uncanny knack for finding things: misplaced bracelet, missing photograph, answers to unanswerable questions. When she rides her bicycle over a rickety old covered bridge in the woods near her house, she emerges to the places she needs to be. Charles Talent Manx has a gift of his own. He likes to take children for rides in his 1938 Rolls-Royce Wraith with the vanity plate Nosferatu. In the Wraith, he and his innocent guests can slip out of the everyday world and onto hidden roads that lead to an astonishing playground of amusements he calls Christmasland. The journey across the highway of Charlie's twisted imagination transforms his precious passengers, leaving them as terrifying and unstoppable as their benefactor. Then comes the day Vic goes looking for trouble and finds her way to Charlie. That was a lifetime ago. Now the only kid ever to escape Charlie's evil is all grown up and desperate to forget, but Charlie Manx hasn't stopped thinking about Victoria McQueen. On the road again, he won't slow down till he's taken his revenge. He's after something very special, something Vic can never replace. So, sounds really awesome. Little bit of a chonker, but yeah, I would say I'd love to read this in December, but knowing me and how busy my Decembers usually are, this is not going to happen in December. But I am hoping to at least read a bit in this month and then finish it over the course of the winter. And then I've got some other random kind of sci-fi and fantasy books. So books that I'm trying to finish up and things that I really need to read. So I have a couple of books that I borrowed from someone at work, and because he was like, hey, these are really good, and you know what, I do need to expand my sci-fi reading a little bit. So I have these two books by Larry Niven. I don't really know what to expect about either of them, to be honest, but they did sound intriguing. The first is The Integral Trees, a fully fleshed world of evolved humans who live without real gravity in the gas torus that rotate around a neutron star. And that's literally all I really have for information about this particular book. And then this is like the sequel, I guess, called The Smoke Ring, and it is basically people that, as you can see, they fly through the air, I guess, with flippers almost. And it says they're descendants of a crew from a ship, and they no longer remember their Earth roots, basically. And this is taking place a lot longer time past, like, this one. So I don't want to know too much about this first. But there are sci-fi books on this planet, or, yeah, kind of planet. It's like it's literally like, it looks like this ring that they're existing in that has, like, no gravity or barely any gravity. And they, like, float around and they kind of live there. I don't know. I'm slightly confused, but it does sound like an interesting world, and everything seems to kind of revolve around these, like, trees somehow. The air makes them float. I don't know. It sounds interesting. And then I've got some fantasy that I want to get through. So, first of all, I have The Ever-Cruel Kingdom by Rin Chapeko, which is the sequel to The Never Tilting World, which I previously read and enjoyed despite myself. And this one, I do also need, I don't want to say too much about it because it is the sequel to that book, and this is following the events of the Never Tilting World. And the Never Tilting World is a book about these two girls who existed on either ends of this world, where years earlier a cataclysm happened and their world ceased to turn. And that meant that the weather got all fucked up. So one half of the world is an ice world, basically, very desolate, and the other half of the world is basically a hot desert, also pretty desolate. And these two girls, one who is like a princess, they end up with companions, each traveling to the site of the cataclysm to see if they can figure out how to fix their world before shit gets really bad. And yeah, this is the sequel to that, following the crazy events of the first book. Yeah, I got like a chapter in and I just lost all steam, so I'm hoping to finish this because, yeah, winter tends to be the time when I start getting into the mood to read more fantasy and stuff. So then I again need to read A Darker Shade of Magic so I can finally finish reading A Gathering of Shadows and A Conjuring of Light, because I have the other two Shades of Magic books by V. Schwab and I have never fucking read them. And I really need to read them because, again, I know I've talked about this multiple times, I love A Darker Shade of Magic. It was the first V. Schwab book I ever read. I fucking loved it. It was so good, and it was good enough that I went out and bought these two books immediately after I finished reading it, and I have yet to frickin' read them. Definitely hoping to get to those this winter as well and finally finish that trilogy because I really need to. And let me see. Oh, one last book I almost forgot. The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King. This fantasy novel, this takes place, it's a sprawling fantasy of dark magic and the struggle for absolute power that transforms the destinies of two brothers born into royalty. It's Stephen King writing a freaking fantasy novel, which sounds awesome. I really want to get to this too while I'm in the mood for fantasy. Yeah, guys, that is everything that I would really like to read over the course of the next couple of months. Hopeful for some really good reads. Thinking that it will be a pretty good time. Let me know if any of these books sound really good to you, if you've read any of them, but no spoilers, please. And yeah, let me know what you guys are hoping to read this winter. Thanks for watching. Thank you for always watching. If you're new here and would like to subscribe, please indeed do so. And I will see you next time. Bye.